Today, the U.S. Supreme Court hands down decisions on two high-profile cases, including Idaho's ban on trans athletes and birthright citizenship, what the court decided and what people are saying tonight. And WSU announces a new partnership with the Colville tribe. The new agreement is the largest annual sponsorship in its athletics history. What that means, coming up.
Our string of cool temperatures continued for us today and could stick around for much of this week. When exactly? I'm tracking our next warm-up.
It's become a tourism, birthing tourism, they call it, a trend where people would just come and you just come onto the soil and have your child, and then they're able to avail themselves of the welfare state and everything else. It's been abused. It's one of those things that was intended to serve a noble and important purpose and has been thwarted and overused and abused. And I will say I'm very disappointed in that outcome. I think it subjects the country to serious challenges going forward, and we'll have to deal with it as a Congress.
Earlier today, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled to uphold birthright citizenship. The justices knocked down President Trump's executive order that sought to restrict it. The court's decision leaves in place the understanding that anyone born in the U.S. is a citizen, even if that child's parents are not. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Another decision that we've been tracking is on transgender athletes. The High Court determined that Idaho's ban on transgender athletes competing in women's sports is constitutional. Such bans exist in more than 24 states all across the country, and the ruling means those laws can remain in place. KREM 2's Regan Gallo and our Christian Garza have been tracking the decisions today. They bring us live team coverage with local reaction tonight. You're following reaction to the High Court's upholding of birthright citizenship. So what are people saying tonight?
Yeah, Mark, for many people, this Supreme Court case wasn't just a headline, it was personal for them as justices weighed in on the future of birthright citizenship. Many families were left to make difficult conversations and have those difficult conversations with each other. Now, today, many of those families are breathing a sigh of relief. Now, in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled to uphold the 14th Amendment and reject the Trump administration's executive order to deny automatic birthright citizenship. In a Supreme Court filing, the Trump administration argued the order restored the original meaning of the citizenship clause, saying it only covers children who are completely subject to U.S. political jurisdiction, meaning they owe direct and immediate allegiance to the country. This executive order was signed almost as soon as President Trump took office for the second time, but never actually took effect because it's been blocked by the lower courts as it made its way through the judicial system. Jesus Torres, the interim executive director for Latinos in Spokane, who is a birthright citizen himself, says while this SCOTUS ruling is a pleasant surprise, it doesn't quell the general state of concern many immigrants feel at this time.
There is a lot of uncertainty. Being here in the center, I get to see it every day. People come in feeling unsafe. That's the bottom line.
The 14th Amendment was adopted after the Civil War, intending to make sure Black people, including former slaves, had citizenship. Although the citizenship clause was written more broadly, granting citizenship to everyone born on U.S. soil, with some exceptions like children of foreign diplomats being born in the U.S., since diplomats are not subject to U.S. laws, or children born during a foreign military occupation of the U.S., which has never happened in our history. Torres reiterates that while today's decision should be celebrated for the people it directly affects, tomorrow is a new day with another battle to prepare for. Now, for anyone who has any questions or concerns, Latinos in Spokane and Nuestras Raíces says that their doors are completely open for everybody to go in and have a conversation. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
All right, Christian, thank you. And our team coverage continues tonight with our Regan Gallo. She is following reaction to the High Court's decision on transgender athletes competing in women's sports. So, Regan, what are people saying about that decision today?
Well, today I spoke with advocacy groups in both Idaho and Washington that represent transgender communities about their response to the Supreme Court's decision. They say today's ruling has left many in their communities feeling grief and fear. Now, supporters of Idaho's law, including Attorney General Raul Labrador, says the ruling preserves fair competition and protects athletic opportunities for girls and women. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled states can limit who can play on women and girls sports teams based on biological sex. The Supreme Court noted the ban does not violate the 14th Amendment or Title IX. Today, 27 states have similar laws in place, including Idaho, that already passed the Fairness in Women's Sports Act in 2020. Today, I spoke with Amy Midstock, chair of the Sandpoint Alliance for Equality in North Idaho. As a parent who raised a transgender child, she says transgender students are more prone to anxiety and depression, and that losing access to the community, mentorship, and other benefits of school sports could be detrimental.
If the solution is that women who are born biological females do not want to share the sports arena with women who are not born biological females, then we need to make sure that there is some solution here, that everybody has equal access. And I don't know what that looks like, but I know that we're doing the work to make sure the representation is there in those fields.
Now, Midstock added she predicts more families may move out of Idaho and other states that have transgender athlete bans, and she says there may be more bullying across impacted communities. Now, Idaho Governor Brad Little stated today the ruling is a historic moment for common sense. In Washington state, the superintendent of public instruction, Chris Reichdale, issued a statement in response to the ruling, pointing to state laws that protect against discrimination based on gender identity. He said today's decisions reinforces Washington state's ability to adopt and implement our own laws in alignment with our values. Our legislature has been clear. All students are welcome here. And now in my conversations today, I also spoke with leaders of Spokane Pride, which say the ruling is ambiguous. The organization questions what happens when transgender athletes travel to states that enforce bans on their participation in sports. Spokane Pride highlights the execution of the ruling is currently unclear. This is a developing story. For now, I'm reporting in the newsroom. Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Thank you. The Supreme Court ruling regarding transgender participation in women's sports is a welcome one for the Meade School Board. The board has disagreed with Washington State's acceptance of transgender females participating in girls' sports. KREM 2 reached out to the Meade School Board for a response to today's ruling. The school board's president responded by saying in part, quote, "Unfortunately, rather than working with school districts to ensure protections for all students, we are confident the Washington State superintendent will merely use this ruling to politically grandstand because he doesn't like who's in the White House. Meanwhile, we'll continue to stand for parents, fairness, excellence, and for all students," unquote. The statement goes on to read, quote, "We'll keep pursuing the same goals we always have, now with the U.S. Supreme Court behind us." All right, let's take a break from the headlines and talk weather at 5 o'clock with meteorologist Cody Proctor joining us in the Outdoor Weather Center. Cody, a bit chilly this morning, but you're saying warmer weather is on the way.
It is on the way, but we are still feeling the effects of that chilly weather. I'm not going to lie, it's a little chilly outside here in the Outdoor Weather Center, especially considering just how warm we have been recently. And our temperatures right now are at 65 degrees at the moment. Winds are coming out the east at 8 miles per hour over the Spokane Airport. Our relative humidity currently at 50%. No surprise, just because we have been seeing a lot of moisture around our region and across much of our area. As we take a look at our current temperatures right now, we are in the mid-60s for both Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. Sandpoint is seeing cloudy skies with temperatures into the upper 50s right now, low 80s in Wenatchee with that sunshine right there. The winds for the most part relatively calm to light, still maybe a little breezy around Omak from what we're seeing right now. We were keeping track of that band of showers moving through for the last few hours right there, but you can see that's dying down for us as we head into the rest of this evening. Now for us here in Spokane, we're looking at a relatively quiet night for us. Temperatures really only expect to get up into the upper 60s before cooling down into the low 50s for tomorrow morning. So not much of a temperature change right there. And range tomorrow, we're expecting our high to be about 73 degrees with mostly sunny skies, gradually warming up as we get into Friday. Now, as for the 4th of July weekend, that's when we should see some pretty nice weather. I'll have more on that coming up later on.
We'll talk to you then, Cody. Thank you. Still ahead tonight with the relaunch of the new Pac-12 Conference. Washington State University announcing a landmark partnership today. More on that coming up in just 3 minutes.